Welcome to episode 9 of the Monsters of Geek podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about the latest releases in video games and movies, and then also our main topics today will be early reviews for Civil War are pretty good coming out. Spider-Man solo film will feature other Marvel heroes. Star Wars Rogue One trailer released and what we think about that, and also Wonder Woman movie date moved and possibly making way for a new Man of Steel. And if we can get to it, Final Fantasy VII will be full game chapters. So that's what we'll be covering today on episode 9 of the Monsters of Geek podcast. With me today is none other than Mr. Andrew Foltz making his return to a Monday Night Raw pop. He won't get
I know you guys missed me. I know you did.
Well, we got all the wrestling stuff out the last 2 weeks, so you don't have to worry about talking about guys in spandex.
I didn't miss you, but you guys missed me.
Yeah, we did miss you.
Let's clarify.
Yeah. What's your name again? No. And with us today, of course, is our world heavyweight champion of Monsters of Geek, Mr. Jared Collins. What's up, man?
Not much. How are you all doing?
Doing pretty good. Joe should be on momentarily. He likes to make an entrance, so Joe will be, I don't know about fashionably late, but he'll be here at some point. All right, guys. So what have you guys been up to? Andrew, I haven't talked to you. Well, I've talked to you at church and other places, but I haven't. As far as a podcast, hasn't talked to you in a while. What have you been up to?
Lots actually. I watched Batman vs Superman finally, and initially I liked it okay, and then I started talking to a friend about it, and the more we talked, and he was kind of in the same boat I was. He liked it at first, but then the more we talked together, the more we were like, gosh, that was bad. So that's where we are now. We don't think it's very good. But I saw that. I've been playing a ton of Rocket League, which I believe we were doing before as well. Or the last time I talked, I should say, I was doing that as well. But I'm still playing a lot, and I'm finding that I swing back and forth pretty strongly between really good and really bad. Playing solo 3v3, I will either beat a team, or my team will beat a team, 8-2, 7-1, something like that, or we will lose by a similar score, or we go to overtime. But there's never just a match that you lose or win by one in regulation. I don't know what it's about, but anyway, that's my experience. And then I found a loophole, or someone else found a loophole, I should say, and told me about it. And so I got Amplitude for free on PS4 this week, and it was pretty cool. You just bought the demo, and then the full game unlocked, and then you bought it, air quotes for the podcast listeners, but it was free, so you didn't have to pay for it. That game is hard, which I've never played anything quite like that before. I played Guitar Hero, but it's not the same. So yeah, it's pretty hard, but it was enjoyable. But mostly Rocket League and Batman vs Superman sucked. So
now Amplitude, that came out on the PlayStation 1, I believe, or was it 2? PlayStation 1, I think, and that had licensed music on it. Now this one doesn't have any licensed music, right? It's just kind of what they've.
Yeah, I don't think
original
so.
Music for those guys.
Stuff, yeah.
Really good game. I mean, it's fun. I used to play it because POD had a song on there. I can't remember which one it was, but that was one I was like, oh wow, I get to play this. I'm on a little spaceship thing. I'm listening to POD. So
there it is.
That was pretty cool. That's right. Rocking it back to new metal.
There you go.
You talked about Superman versus Batman, and we haven't really got too much of a chance to talk about it. We'll spend a little bit of time here on it. So you said initially you thought it was okay, and then the more you talked about it, what was brought up that made you lower your opinion of it?
I don't want to. Jared hasn't seen it, right? So I don't want to.
He doesn't care.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So I guess we should warn listeners. Here comes some full-blown spoiler alert here. But what I didn't like the most about it was they spent this entire movie building up this reason for them to fight, which was pretty believable. Superman is a god, blah, 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 whatever. And it was pretty believable. But then at the end, they were like, okay, we don't really know how to push this all the way over into a full-fledged fight, so let's just pull in Lex, let him do some kind of weird thing, and then he's going to make them fight. So you spent all this setup that was for nothing. I thought that was pretty stupid. I did like the fighting at the end, personally. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I did like the final fight scene
I thought
decent.
the fighting was fine. Like
Yeah.
overall, I thought the fighting scenes were. That's something Zack Snyder can do. Like
He's good at that. He's good at that. But the EIC at the Daily Planet was he just spoke in headlines. That's all he did. It's just like I speak in headlines. Breaking news. I speak in headlines. It was pretty stupid. And then trying to make Clark be a sports writer was pretty stupid too. It's like that's not how newspapers work. You
No.
hire a sports writer to write sports articles. So that was dumb. There was just a lot of dumb things that didn't make sense mixed in with, like we said, some pretty good fight scenes.
I thought overall you can go back and me and Jared talked about it a little bit a couple episodes ago, but I thought they got a lot of little things right. Like when Wonder Woman got knocked back by Doomsday, she gave this smirk. I thought that was that was awesome. Some of the kind of the darker tone of humor that Batman has, they got the little things right, but it was the big things that I just think they swung and missed on.
Yeah.
This is a podcast, the Geek versus Week podcast. They brought up a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not one of those guys that catch, I'm more of how is it shot and stuff like that, and you can go back and listen to what I think it was shot like. But they talked about how did Lois Lane know where the spear was with the kryptonite, because she was like across town when that happened. There's a couple other things that they pointed out. I was like, oh, well, you got to suspend a little bit of disbelief. But,
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, but I'm with you, Andrew. I thought it was mediocre at best. They got a couple stuff right, but I thought it was rushed and cut weird, and just some of it just didn't make sense.
The Wonder Woman stuff was good. I thought,
yes,
she was good, but yeah, I didn't like any of that. I didn't like much of the Lex stuff. I did like Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I think reviews are mixed on that. Yeah, I did, but I don't know Lex that well. DC's not my thing, so that could be why I'm landing that in that area. But I did like how he played it.
I thought it was one of those things where I thought would be really bad or really good, and about halfway through it, I was fine with it, and then he went a little bit too Joker.
It did go a little too far. I agree with you. Yeah.
And if you didn't know Lex Luthor, Lex Luthor's kind of like the Kingpin in Daredevil. Like he's very
maniacal.
He's very smart, but he's very imposing. Like he will physically fight you if he has to. And I feel like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was not a threat for that. And I think,
okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Have you finished Daredevil yet?
I have finished Daredevil. Has everybody finished Daredevil?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
I have finished Daredevil.
Oh, you're killing me, Joe. You're killing me.
So if don't hold me to this, but I would like to do like a special podcast on Daredevil, because that's a lot to talk about. So
yeah.
So we need to probably do.
I'm in on that.
What
episode?
What episode are you on?
Like 8.
8. Okay, so you're about halfway there. Okay.
Has Murdoch been to see Kingpin in the prison yet?
No.
That's like episode 12.
10.
Like
There's
that.
only
He's close to it. He's pretty close.
Yeah, you're probably close. That's
Talk about it, Joe. That's probably one of the most intense scenes you'll ever watch. That was.
It's a fantastic scene.
Yeah. Especially with some of the history. I mean, people could watch it without any history and be intense, but if you know just a little bit about the history of Daredevil and Kingpin, it's going to be pretty intense for you, like extra intense. Because I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my, this can't be good, So that's pretty cool. And Jared, obviously, enough about it too, so that was extra intense too.
Oh, it's an amazing scene.
Joe, what
Sorry,
have
I
you been up to?
spoiled it.
That's cool.
What have you been up to, Joe?
Been trying to learn this iPad Pro.
Oh, so you picked up an iPad Pro.
Yeah, picked it up
You
last
like it
week.
so far?
It's pretty cool. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't like having to turn on the computer every time I have to do something, so it
There you go.
kind of. Been watching a lot of like found footage, like horror movies, like scary movies. Here lately. Other than that, that's pretty much all. I played WWE 2K all day today, so.
We had a little bit of discussion about that on the phone while you trying to decide whether to buy it. How do you like it so far?
I'm still getting used to the controls.
Controls are a little bit different. I feel like the striking really feels good. I think everything feels good, but the submission. So the submission is cringeworthy, especially if you get caught in one. So that almost ruined the game for me. Other than that, it's not a bad game.
The submission is easier than UFC's submission.
Oh, okay. Then I won't be buying UFC.
So.
Because that submission for WB is quite annoying, to be quite honest. All right, Jared, what have you been up to, man?
Let's see, watched Mad Max, Fury Road a couple nights ago. Then got to watch Creed last night. And over this week, I watched the entire He-Man and Masters of the Universe 2002 series.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That one came on Cartoon Network?
Yep. And it was really enjoyable. I missed most of it on Cartoon Network, but going back, and there's a lot of continuity in it and a lot of character development. Something that you don't find on hardly anything, but I think it was way ahead of its time. If it came out today, even on like Netflix or something like that, it'd probably be around for several seasons.
So, I mean, overall, like what you talk about continuity, are they just kind of carrying it over like cartoons now, where where you got part 4, part 2, or something like that, or they carry a storyline further into the season?
Oh, they carried the storyline the whole season. Like they slowly would develop it. There was the twists in there, characters, not necessarily killing them off because they won't go that far, but they would do origin stories. You'd find out where these characters came from before they would ever put them in to the series mostly. So, they did a lot of character development that I really enjoyed. The whole Snake Man storyline, and they even kind of set up Hordak, which they were going to do for season 3. They pushed the whole Snake Man all of season 2 just to keep developing it. So it was really good. Very underrated.
What'd you think about Creed?
Oh, I loved it.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's definitely on my list.
If you enjoy any of the Rocky movies, then you have to watch Creed.
I'll watch it. It seems like the guy that plays Creed's son, I guess, is the correct.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. Me and Joe are huge fans of Friday Night Lights, so we was like, whoa, that's the quarterback that came along later in the DirecTV series. So I'm interested in that movie. Just want to know your thoughts on it a little bit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was talking to Robin about it, and she really liked it too. It stays, kind of with the Rocky theme. They kind of mix some stuff in there, for the nostalgia. But it's a pretty incredible movie. I like the way they set it up, and everything's not as predictable as you think it would be. The director, I can't remember who directed it, but he's going to direct Black Panther now.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
I don't know if you heard the story, but Bill Simmons had a really good interview with him, and he talked about really getting knocked out. Where Sylvester Stallone was like, to make this look real, you have to take it. Like, you have to take this punch. And they ended up posting it on YouTube, and man, he took a shot right on the chin.
Yeah.
And he was out.
I remember seeing it when they were doing production. I think they were putting it up on Twitter and everything about how he had got knocked out. So there's a lot of dedication that they put into that.
Yeah, I'll have to try to check it out. It's definitely one of the ones on my to watch list. So
I heard that it reveals who won the fight between Apollo and Rocky at the end of Rocky 3. Does it do that?
Rocky 3.
3?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it does reveal it.
I didn't see it either, so I do want to see it as well. It's interesting.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything. So
I can't believe they actually did that, but it's kind of a cool thing to go back on.
And actually, I think they're planning 2 more sequels.
I think so.
Yeah. I know at least one. So they could write this on to a new series for itself. So he's a pretty strong character in this universe or franchise.
Yeah, the Rocky stuff. You always kind of cringe when they say they're going to try to bring back a classic within that, that storyline, because they've messed it up so much with so many other classic stuff. But When I heard Bill Simmons really liked it, which he's a big boxing dude anyway, he still watches a lot of boxing. And I thought, man, this may be pretty good. Then the reviews started rolling in, so I'm glad to hear that it's really good.
Yeah,
Tommy Gunn's still my favorite.
Dude, what now?
Oh, gosh.
Tommy Gunn.
No, that's the worst one out of the bunch.
Tommy Gunn.
Oh.
All right, well, let's move on to some of our key releases for this week. Not much coming out as far as movie-wise. There's, not much. The only thing coming out that I think would probably, warrant a mention is the Jungle Book movie from Disney, which is the live-action. Jon Favreau is the one that is directing it. Of course, most people know him from the Iron Man movies as far as director, but if you've ever seen Swingers, such a great movie with Favreau and Vince Vaughn and all those guys, one of his earlier works that he was in. So this movie looks fantastic. It's got great talent. You got Scarlett Johansson as Kaa. You got Bill Murray as Baloo. Idris Elba as Shere Khan, and you've got Sir Ben Kingsley as Bagheera. Does this movie interest you guys? I think it looks fantastic, and it's got some pretty good reviews so far.
I might go see it just because I can usually get into movies for free, but if I was paying, I probably wouldn't go.
Because he repels from the ceiling. That's why. All Mission Impossible style.
Yeah, I do. You nailed it. It's amazing. Those emergency exits are good for something, guys.
That's right. I actually went and saw my wife Shauna wanted to go see Cinderella, the live action, and I thought they did that really well. I thought they did a really good job with the CG and not making it look, crazy, kind of pop out, kind of take over the scene where it doesn't look natural. So with a lot more CG in this one, as far as the characters and all that stuff, it's going to be interesting to see. I bet a lot of this stuff was done by green screen, obviously. So we'll see how some of those performances pan out.
Yeah, I thought Cinderella was well done as well. Just agreeing there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think Lucy or Molly one got Cinderella for Christmas, and we watched it, and it was good. I was a fan of the Jungle Book growing up, so I was kind of skeptical when I first heard about it, but after watching the trailer, then I'm pretty excited about it. Just getting the kids to go see it'll be the hard thing. The only thing I'm kind of curious about Christopher Walken as King Louis.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put him in there. Yeah, but he is in there. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. I don't know.
Joe's making. I'm the only single guy. I'm the only guy with no kids. I'm the only guy that hasn't seen Cinderella.
Yep. Exactly.
If you guys don't know, we live stream this on Google Hangouts on YouTube. So just watch our Facebook page. We do it at different times, different days, and on the weekends. But I kept looking at his face, and it's just that classic Joe face, like, man, I got my man card, you wussy boys. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Joe, you got to branch out, man. You got to branch out. That's a great conversation starter with a girl. Just be like, hey, have you seen that live action Cinderella?
Yeah.
Movie that I go see, but I thought it was really well made.
Yeah. Okay.
I went with my mom.
Me and my mom went to see Cinderella the other night. 2 thumbs up, man. You wanna go? You wanna go out to eat now?
My mom's waiting at the restaurant.
No, she's not even waiting at the restaurant. She's gonna take us. She's outside waiting on us.
So let's move on to video game releases. But yeah, go see Jungle Book. It'll be out this Friday. So go check that out. A lot of good video game releases. We'll save the one that we'll probably talk about the most for last. But we've got Ratchet & Clank, the new one for the PS4, which isn't a remake or a collection. This is the new PS4 version of Ratchet & Clank, obviously for the more or less because they got the movie coming out. A neat little indie game called Risk of Rain, which is like an 8-bit kind of roguelike, I guess, platformer that looked pretty cool, so I wanted to mention that. It's for the PS4 and Vita. Then you've got Bravely Second in layer, of course, for the Nintendo 3DS. Andrew, you played the first one, said you didn't really like the demo. Is this one of those you're going to pick up and give it a try, or just wait for the reviews?
I when they first announced it, I was so excited. I was like, yes, more Bravely Default. That's awesome. And then I think it went so long, for one, and then two, the demo was just so boring to me. And I probably just didn't give it a fair shake. I probably got too bored too quick, didn't give it enough time. It's an RPG. I should have given it more time. But I just I'm not buying it. No, I'm buying Dark Souls 3, which is what we're about to talk
And of course, the next one is 3. This is for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Of course, this was released pretty in Japan. I don't know if it was released in Europe early, but apparently it was a
just Japan.
not working order, just Japan, Andrew. Okay.
Yeah.
And Namco pretty much was like, hey, you can try to do a Japanese or a Japanese account and try to play it, but for all of you reviewers out there, this is an unfinished product. It doesn't have the day one patch, so there are some issues there. This is basically I cry into my blanket simulator for most people because it's so intense and so hard. Like I've said, I've already bowed out.
Yeah.
Any game I can set on easy and it still kicks my butt, I'm just out of it.
You can even get through the opening cutscene, right?
Right back, I can't handle this. I'm out. Like, I just, this is gonna take me hours. Andrew, talk about the Dark Souls series as far as what as far as you're a veteran of, as far as playing it. What do you want this game to do, as far as what the other ones didn't do, or maybe do something, maybe take something away the other ones did before?
You want me to talk about Dark Souls 3?
Well, in a bridge version of you talking about Dark Souls 3.
No, because I've never played Dark Souls. I bought Dark Souls 2.
But you never played? I thought you played it.
I played Dark Souls 2. I got to the very first enemy. I died 3 times. I got frustrated and quit. And but what I have are a couple of friends who are way into it. One friend in particular has platinumed Dark Souls.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1 and 2 on PS3.
Who? Do I know this guy?
Andrew Slim.
Oh man! Next time you see Andrew, I want you to go up and just give him a big slap in the face.
He's in my Destiny clan. We talk a lot these days, but he's in the process of platinuming Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, the PS4 remake. He's like a half playthrough away or something like that. So he is all into it. And then a friend of his is also into the game. So I'm hoping that their excitement, our ability to talk about it, their ability to give me advice. He also platinumed Bloodborne, which is also by From Software, but it was PS4 exclusive. But anyway, that having those two guys to talk to kind of tutor me through it will get me through that initial learning curve, and then I'll get into it. Because I feel like it's something I will like and get into once I get there. But just that initial getting over the hump is going to be rough.
I played the first one, and you're gonna die, and you're gonna die a lot.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
Yeah, you can't get frustrated at it.
Which is Joe didn't break any controllers on it, so
that's good.
I'm sure it's frustrating, but if he can hold that inner rage in, Andrew, I don't think you'll have an issue.
I don't know, man. I about threw a controller a couple times playing Rocket League this weekend.
Oh,
there's
out, man. You didn't pre-order it, did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
No, I'll be okay. Okay. I'm prepared for it. With Rocket League, you've just got 90%, 95% of the players. I'm stealing a tweet from Dan Amrick here. If you guys know who that is, you probably don't. But anyway, he says 95% of Rocket League players think that in order to win, they have to hit the ball the most. so they're not trying to set teammates up for shots. They're not trying to even hit the ball towards their own goal or towards the goal. They're just trying to hit the ball and see where it goes. And then you got the 5% of players that are actually trying to score for your team. Yeah.
But so Dark Souls 3 coming out. Brad Shoemaker was talking about, just to touch on what Andrew said about the being hyped about because of the things. He actually was helped him. He said a lot of that stuff where it was out in Japan. He said a lot of stuff he went and read. He said there were some things that if you didn't know about and you missed out, it would take away from the game. So he was really happy about kind of how the community kind of was like, hey, we got FAQs up and stuff like that. He said for a game like this, an FAQ is almost you have to have it because of the type of game that you have. So, but they're big Dark Souls fans as well. Well, one of them isn't. He's going to try to jump into this one. So, but from everything that game's just. It's too hard. Just talking about it makes me freak out. So. All right, so the video game releases, go pick it up. No comic book releases as far as trades, as far as what I could see. So we'll just kind of skip that.
I want to point something out.
Yes.
When you sent us the show notes,
yeah,
it said Rachel and Clank, and it made me laugh.
Well, see what this is. This is
my friends.
Yeah, coming in to help Clank out. I mean, he's got to save Ratchet, so he's got to go get Rachel to save Ratchet.
Ratchet and Clank are on a break.
Yeah.
And so Rachel's coming in to help him out.
I'm sure David Schwimmer shows up. At some
Yeah. Makes a cameo.
There you go. So let's move on to our main topics for this episode. Most of it's going to be movie related. There really wasn't any, big video game news. I think we may talk about the Warriors a little bit as they tied the Bulls, I believe, tonight. We're going to talk about that. I was watching a little bit, or I was keeping up with it at work, and I got home, and Andrew was like, "We're going to talk about this?" And I was like, "Well, now we can." Obviously, just tying that record is, a feat unto itself. They've got one more game left, I believe, Andrew, that they have to win to break it, and that is
Wednesday at home against the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies, which the Grizzlies, they came back on the Grizzlies, correct?
Yeah, 1-1. Okay. Yeah.
They looked a little bit human there for a second. They lost, 2-2 a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lost to Boston and the Grizzlies, which the Grizzlies, I think, was one of the board.
Timberwolves.
My bad. Yeah, sorry. Not the Grizzlies. Timberwolves.
Give us some credit, man.
The only T-Wolves fan right there.
I was just about to drop a hate bomb on it because I think the Grizzlies loss was just one of those board losses. Like we're too good to focus, and so they didn't, and they lost. But Timberwolves have some legit talent out there. They're on the rise, I think. But
I think the T-Wolves, if you look at, a team that looks like Golden State, I think the teams that beat them, Boston and minus, obviously, the Grizzlies look nothing like Golden State as far as roster-wise. But if you look at, Boston and you look at the T-Wolves, almost like not a copycat lineup, but a lot of guys that can shoot, a lot of guys that can run.
Small. Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns is a lot like Draymond Green as far as the versatility.
Probably more versatile,
right? So, it's interesting to see because everybody said that you needed. It's interesting that you see the Grizzlies beat them in that kind of big, kind of physical game, and then you got two teams that basically look in the mirror them, beat them. So, it's interesting. But what is the Bulls' record at this point? Is one of the almost a legendary record? Is it one of those that you never thought you'd see broke again?
It's cool that you would say that. It's interesting you'd say that because, and I'm sorry that I'm dominating this conversation, but
we haven't heard you from.
I've got a lot to say. It's been 3 weeks, but Bill Simmons actually tweeted this. I can only assume it's an actual picture that he took from the Book of Basketball. And it's got a list of records in there. I guess it's talking about how breakable the records are. So it's got this huge paragraph about Wilt's 100-point game. And I guess I'll just read it because it's...
Never happened.
Yeah, well, he said Kobe's 81-point game made this one seem slightly breakable. He said the right perimeter player at the right point in his career with the right touch of officiating could definitely challenge it with help from the three-point line. In his 81-point explosion, Kobe played 42 minutes, made 21 of 33 two-pointers, 7 of 11 threes, and 18 of 20 free throws against a bad Toronto team. And then he talks about the perimeter players, but that doesn't matter for Toronto. But then he says if you tweak those numbers slightly, have him hog the ball a little more, make him slightly more accurate. So theoretically, he plays 46 minutes, makes 24 of 37 twos, 10 of 15 threes, 22 of 24 free throws. That's exactly 100 points, and that's not that far of a stretch from the two sets of numbers aren't that far off. So then the next bullet point is Chicago's 72-win season. And he says, the perfect storm of the right era, the league at its most diluted. There were two expansion teams in the league. Right team, an angry Bulls team bent on reclaiming its throne. The right alpha dog, a possessed Jordan coming off his baseball sabbatical, and a humiliating playoff defeat. And then he just wraps it up with, I can't imagine anyone finishing a season with fewer than 10 losses. It's too improbable.
and Golden State is one win away from doing
one win away, yeah.
So I know Steve Kerr. There was an article that I kind of read, or there was talking about Steve Kerr sitting down. I don't know if this was a true story, but it was picked up by ESPN. One of the insiders was talking about how Kerr was really contemplating setting the team down and being like, "We really need the rest. Like if the championship is what we need. This record's great, but we really need to rest. So, do you think that's Kerr trying to preserve the record? No, I'm joking. Do you think that as a coach, obviously the championship is what important, but you're on the cusp of history, and we've talked about this a little bit about how maybe if they break that record, it's a relief because of all the hype. Do you think at some point in the playoffs? I mean, you're talking about 82 games with how many games in the playoffs if you win them all? It's at 16, I think.
Yeah.
Another 16 games on top, and that's if you don't, and that's if you sweep everybody.
Right.
So obviously more games could be on top of that. Do you think that they'll regret that? Do you think they'll regret not resting Kerr or someone like Draymond Green? Or Thompson? Do you think they'll regret that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic, but to me, they rested Bogut Saturday night against the Grizzlies, which helped, I guess. Well, it made it possible probably for them to beat the Spurs tonight, but it's an interesting topic. If I'm Kerr, I'm thinking if I could be on the team that set the record and then coach the team that broke the record, then I'm the legend. Like I'm the guy. Forget it. But to me though, if you can get the record, sweep your whoever you draw as the 8 seed, and then you get rest because you're playing the 4 or 5 seed winner, right? That you would expect that series to go 5, 6, 7 games maybe, depending on who it is and what the matchup is, and then you get your rest there. That's how I would hope for it. I guess that's how I would view it. But what do I know? I do chemicals for a living. So,
Joe, what do you think about? I mean, just like Andrew said, what happens if they don't sweep that front? That say they maybe lose one game, say they don't sweep it, and they don't get that extra rest, and maybe all the other teams sweep, minus the 4 or 5 because that usually isn't a sweep. But do you think as far as rest wise, if you're Steve Kerr, do you set those guys down and be like, hey, I'm resting you guys, whether play them the first half and rest them or whatever it may be, but I'm trying to get these guys some rest. Do you think Kerr will look back at that if they don't win a championship and say maybe I should have rested these guys?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, look at Popovich. Nobody ever questions Popovich when Popovich rests his guys. But
Steve Kerr is an old school guy, so I mean, obviously his mentality would probably be, we're playing all 82 games because Jordan did it. Karl Malone talked about on Sports Center. He goes, I don't know what rest was. Like we didn't rest during our seasons. But you do think that maybe. And I guess the game changes, but Kerr's an old school guy. Do you think that he'll look back and, maybe, and even, let me just throw this out there. Do you think that maybe Kerr should have looked at the schedule and say, okay, well, we've got the Sacramento Kings, or we've got the Sixers, or we've got these other teams. Jared, do you think that, as far as you think, if you would have looked at the schedule and back, we can beat this team with our second squad, maybe we should rest everybody. Do you think that would have been a better way to go?
I don't know. I think cutting minutes is the better way to go, just because I was reading the article that they were talking to the Bulls trainer from their 72 win run, and they're like, this resting player stuff, giving them nights off. He's like, we never did that. Even Jordan, you put him in 10, 15, 20 minutes just to keep his legs fresh.
Right.
Just so he gets to do something. Then you pull him out and sit him the rest of the game. Just put him in here or there. From a coaching standpoint, I think staying active and, I'm not saying just sitting down one night is going to hurt somebody, but, I just like to keep everybody in rhythm, keep everything going like it has been going. So, coming up against the Grizzlies, that's what I would do. I'd put them in, and if they jump out to a lead, you start pulling players. Let them sit. If they start coming back, you can always put them back in for a few more minutes just to keep the flow going. But, I do agree with Andrew. If they get the record, and then the best thing they could do is come out and sweep and then sit back and be able to rest a couple days before that next series comes up.
And probably the best point that you can make in all this is that the guys who really need rest, your Iguodala's, your Bogut's, I don't know, the other old guys. They've been, Livingston. Well, not so much Livingston, but Iggy and Bogut for sure have been hurt and have gotten their rest because they were hurt. Mm-hmm. So, Curry, Thompson, Draymond, they're young. Their recovery's a lot faster. They're probably fine, especially considering they're going to go home. They're probably on a plane home right now. They'll be home Monday, Tuesday, and have Wednesday, and then they'll play the game. And then the playoffs start, I think, Saturday. So they're going to get some rest. To me, I'm going all in for the record, and I actually think they'll probably win by 20 on Wednesday. But
I mean, if they get the record, it's a good thing. And they probably will sweep the 8th seed. I mean, you're looking at a Jazz team that's very good, but I don't think they're
very good for an 8th seed.
Yeah, I don't think they're good enough to hold off, or win a game against Golden State in the playoff series. And then you said something about maybe sweeping the 4th or 5th seed.
Possible, yeah.
I mean,
Clippers
the Clippers and the Trailblazers.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah.
So I mean, that series might be the rough one.
First round, I don't.
They already swept the Clippers once. So.
Yeah, I don't see after that first round. I don't see them sweeping anybody else.
Probably not.
That first round.
But you get your rest there, is what I'm saying. Even in that first round, you get rest, and then you're in the playoffs, and everybody's on equal rest all the time.
And one thing, and one thing you have to kind of bring in is this wonky playoff system that the NBA has, where you play a game, you're off. You play a game, you get 3 games off, or 3 days off, or whatever the weird travel schedule is. I remember when I was a kid, it was 2 straight. You get 1 travel day, come back and play the other games. And then if it goes to game 5, which they already played 5 in the first round, you go back and you play. You get a day off for rest, and you come back to play game 5.
The finals are going to be even worse this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so spaced out. The finals was like 2 weeks last week or last year. It was crazy how much time was there. So you get built-in rest there. I've said it before, and I've said it on other podcasts. I don't think Golden State wins a championship. I just don't think they do. That's just my personal. I don't know who's going to beat them, but I just don't think they get it done.
I think Portland upsets them in the second round.
Oh, look at Joe. He's going big on video game Dame.
Video game Dame, son.
You heard it here first on the Monsters of Geek podcast, and I gotta give Joe a lot of pub. Of all the he says he guesses everything. So he says every championship he guesses it, but he did call it on our blog that Golden State would win the championship last year. So I have to give him some pub there.
There you go. I think the Warriors won't lose more than 6 games in the entire playoffs. So.
There you go. Would they be considered the greatest team ever, even though they wouldn't make a run like the Lakers did? Were they 15-1 or whatever?
15-1. That's actually something I was going to bring up when we were talking about rest, and Jared was talking about rhythm. You've got a Lakers team that swept everybody, including the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, and then turn around and lose to the only player they have is Allen Iverson, 76ers, in the first game of the NBA Finals. So rhythm, because they've just been off too long, I think, and not focused and whatever else. So that's important. But
big ups to AI, Hall of Famer, definitely.
But I think the regular season record and then winning the finals would be a bigger deal than the 15-1 playoff run. Although 15-1 playoff run is
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing the best of the best in your conference. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And again, including the Spurs.
Right. Big up to AI. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Glad to see him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he deserves that.
So he definitely deserves that. All right. Well, we'll move on from sports, and we'll probably talk about Golden State a lot more this year. We may even have like an NBA playoff special or something like that.
I mean, are we not going to mention one of the greatest players ever is last year? I think his season's over now.
No, it's over. It's over Wednesday. That's a big day, Wednesday. It's my birthday. The Warriors going for the regular season wins record. Kobe's last game. It's a big day.
Andrew's one of the few legit Laker fans that I know. There's only one more legit Laker fan that I know. So
yeah, I mean, so I hopped on the bandwagon in the 99-2000 when Shaq got there and Kobe. I jumped on then, but I endured through the post Shaq years. So, but if they screw up this draft, then if they trade D'Angelo Russell, I will drop them in a heartbeat. I will drop the Lakers in a heartbeat if they do something stupid.
But they
like
should
that.
have.
Do all this great stuff, and you're just like, I'm going to drop them.
I will
Drop
do
them.
it. That's
They
stupid.
should have traded their first pick last year for Boogie, but we couldn't get that, could we?
No, I guess not.
I didn't hear anything Joe said. My computer is pretty crappy. So
He said that you guys should have traded your first round pick for Boogie.
and now it cut out on you.
All right.
Sorry.
We'll just move
Sorry,
on.
listeners. Sorry, listeners.
All right, so next topic we have, and again, a lot of movie topics, and we'll probably touch on these and then we'll be done for the night. But big thing coming out of this week was that we had some Civil War reviews, mostly on Twitter, nothing necessarily official as far as like a written one by IGN or anything like that. But there's a lot of people on Twitter that got a chance to see an advanced screening of it, and from what I'm looking at here, this movie looks really, really good. One of the fears that I had was trying to put so many characters in this movie. One of the guys said that this should never work, and I can't figure out why it worked, but it works, and it works really, really well with all those characters in it. Does that alleviate any concern from you guys? And one of you guys can, whichever one wants to answer, does that alleviate some of the fears that this movie was getting too much hype and it wasn't going to, because of all the characters that was in it, how they was going to kind of shuffle that?
I'll go ahead and start. One of the things that I read, I don't think I really feared whether or not this movie is going to be good, because what does Marvel put out that really hadn't worked?
Right.
I mean, besides like the first Hulk movie and some of the other stuff a while back, but once they got their act together, everything's worked. I did
got all
read
the characters back that they could control. I think that was the biggest issue.
Yeah. The one thing that I did read from one of the reviews, they said it's not as good as Winter Soldier, and that's pretty hard to live up to, I think. Going in, I mean, that's pretty much like a political thriller. That's like Jason Bourne comic book movie.
It is.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just hard to live up to something like that. So, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that everybody was comparing to the Batman versus Superman. They said, this is how you do a hero versus hero movie. I was never concerned about it, but trying to compare it to the last one, it could be a little bit of a letdown just because they did set such a high standard with Winter Soldier. But I'm excited about it. Probably besides Doctor Strange, probably one of the comic book movies I'm most excited for.
Joe, what do you think about some of the reviews? I sent you guys the link to kind of take a look at least some little short, snippet reviews. You're a big Captain America fan. We both love, I think we all love Winter Soldier on this show. Did any of the reviews alleviate anything to know that this is going to be a pretty good film coming out of it?
I'm kind of I'm in the same boat as Jared. I mean, Marvel's not putting anything out that I had to worry about, so I wasn't really worried about this movie.
Andrew, I know you try to stay away from. Oh
yeah, I didn't read anything. I don't care what you sent. I'm not reading anything.
Well, I do want to talk about one thing. And for me personally, and I don't think this is a spoiler because we all know he's in it. One of the guys, one of his tweets said that he said Spidey is amazing, made me smile and laugh till my face hurt. And that's something that I always felt like every Spider-Man movie missed. The Andrew Garfield stuff kind of was getting there. I always thought, because one of the things that made Spider-Man one of my favorite superhero was that he was a superhero, but he always cracked jokes, and he always cracked jokes at the worst time, and it was almost like a coping mechanism. So for a kid that was much like Peter Parker, kind of a geek and a nerd, a little bit overweight, I use humor to cope. So I whether it be I was nervous about a test or I was nervous about a girl, I'd always be my humor would help me be as a coping mechanism for that. So Peter Parker always did that, and I never thought that the movies got that right. And I think in this one, hearing that's all I need to know. I mean, the rest of the movie could stink, but I would still go see Spidey because it sounds like they got him exactly right this time.
Okay. That Spider-Man movie will be the the clean version of Deadpool.
Exactly. And I hope it's that. I hope it's that 100% and more, man. I mean, I was just, and I wasn't worried about Spider-Man. One of the guys said that he was actually surprised at how much Spider-Man was actually in it because, obviously with all those characters and trying to introduce Spider-Man into this universe, he was really surprised about how much he was in it, but they got him right on. And that was something I was kind of worried about, introducing him with so many characters. But Spidey is best. Spidey can do a solo film, but Spidey is best when he's got stuff, he's got super serious Tony Stark and super serious Captain America to bounce stuff off of. So I always thought that, in the comics, he always busts a joke and they all kind of look at him and be like, what, is it the wrong time to do this? And so I think it's nice that they're using that to bounce the humor off of and kind of build the character before his solo film. Now, as far as Spidey's solo film, it sounds like, from what I understand, that there's going to be a lot of cameos in this film, a lot of heroes in this film, or some of them, as far as that goes. Jared, are you worried that Marvel's, obviously, if Captain America ends up being good, maybe no worry at all, but you think they're trying to do too many characters, and they just let Spidey be Spidey for the first one?
Yeah, that's what I would go with. Maybe pop in one or two, just depending on the situation. Like if he needed help getting something done or inventing something that wasn't working, maybe have Iron Man pop in there, or maybe even put Ant-Man or somebody a little lesser known that you're just trying to expand that audience for. But I wouldn't expect like a Civil War type mashup for a Spider-Man film. I think that's what the people are paying for. They want to see Spider-Man in a film that finally gets it right. Let's not dilute it with everybody else in there.
Right.
I kind of land on the other side of that. I get what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm kind of like, we've seen Spidey in enough films by himself, and yeah, they sucked, but we've seen a lot of that.
With Tobey Maguire was a really good superhero.
Okay, it was
just
good.
Throw that out there.
And I also think that it was about the only thing that it got right. But the Amazing Spider-Man movies did get the humor right. They could have done more of it, but they did do that much right, I thought. But to me, I'm like, I've seen enough Spider-Man by himself, and sure, Marvel could do it a lot better. I have no doubt about that. But to me, it's like, put somebody in there with them. I don't think it should be Civil War level at all. But I'm okay with seeing that and really I'll be fine as long as they don't do the stupid origin story again. Just skip it. Do what Zack Snyder did with Batman vs Superman, telling Batman's origin in the opening cinematic. That was probably the second best part of that movie, was just getting it done really quick, really well done, and now we know, because we already knew, because we've seen that origin story enough times. So I think if they do that, then I'll be good. I'll be good.
I think that one thing Zack Snyder does do really well is telling origin stories in the opening credits. Like if you've ever seen The Watchmen, I mean, it's probably one of my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite comic book movies up until the end. I mean, Jared both really like that movie. But Zack Snyder has a way of telling that in the opening credits where they crunch it down, but it all makes sense and they tell the whole thing. Like the whole origin of the Minutemen in Watchmen was absolutely amazing. That open cinematic. So it didn't surprise me that he used that, even though we don't really need Batman's origin, but he used that as kind of like a launching point into where Batman is now. I thought that was, what did surprise me, he did it, and he did it well, because that's one of the things
really
he
well
did
done.
really well.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget, I'm still mad that Winter Soldier didn't even make the top 5 in our Monsters of Geek best superhero movies.
What was it, 6?
It was number 6, yeah. That was so stupid, and I'm still mad about it.
Me and Jared were actually talking, in the next couple of years, we won't have to do another list.
We have to rewrite that thing. It's embarrassing. People don't read our blog because of that.
Well, I got a lot of really good comments off of that, man.
Well, I'm sure you did, but it's still objectively wrong for having Winter Soldier that low.
Well, I can't remember what was ahead of it, to be quite honest. We'll have to discuss that later, but
yeah,
it was in there.
I'll look it up. It was up there, but it was number 6.
Can I just say that with the Spider-Man movie, I'd like to see people in it, but if they do the right villain, they shouldn't have to have people in it. Like if they do a Kraven the Hunter. storyline.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Spider-Man, and Joe, you can continue, is that, and I think this is where you're going, sometimes Spider-Man, the best Spider-Man stories is just with Spider-Man. Kraven's Last Hunt. The stuff with J. Michael Straczynski. MJ wasn't even there when he faced, what was his name? Can't remember his name now, but it was almost like a spiritual energy vampire type guy that really beat the crap out of Spider-Man the whole time. The stuff with Kingpin and Ultimate Spider-Man was just Spider-Man facing the Kingpin. I think that you have to be careful not to put so many in it, because the pull of Spider-Man to me is sometimes he has to take care of it by himself, because it's only something that he can handle, and he doesn't need any help to handle it, even though it may look like it. He's got the situation under control. And sometimes some of the fun stories is that he doesn't have the situation under control and he still takes care of it.
I mean, I think Spider-Man has the best villain line, or one of the best villain line in Marvel.
Batman.
Yeah. So I mean, just put the right villains in it. That's all you got to do. Any true Spider-Man fans been dying for a Kraven movie.
Yeah, you want to go dark with Spider-Man? Do Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah, I mean
that's probably a dark storyline.
I mean, he has enough villains that you could do a single movie and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
One way that if you're going to have other heroes in there, one thing I would do, instead of bringing in some of the cinematic heroes, is maybe bring in some of the ones from the TV show.
That would make more sense. I was just about to say that.
Like a Daredevil. Maybe even throw in Punisher. I don't know. Punisher's pretty heavy for like a PG-13 movie, but definitely throw Daredevil in there, or maybe Luke Cage.
Even just for like a cameo. Like, it doesn't have to be huge, but just like, you see, I don't know, you see Daredevil swinging with his billy stick or something. Something that they used to do in the comics.
Or maybe he has to go
visit
get a lawyer for something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. It's just a matter of Marvel ever wants to cross that line between their more mature Netflix street level and mix it in with their more kid-friendly stuff. I don't know if they would do that, but I think it'd be really cool if they put like Matt Murdock in there. Andrew, you got that look on your face. I know you're about to...
I'm so mad at us. So, the Winter Soldier's number 6.
I just looked those up, too.
Yeah, behind Watchmen, Dark Knight, that's fine. TMNT 1990, which is ridiculous.
Oh, now, whoa, buddy.
Yeah, don't cross that line.
It's ridiculous. The Winter Soldier was way better.
Those are fighting words, buddy. Those are fighting words.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying the Winter Soldier was definitively better.
Did it have animatronic turtles in it?
Yeah.
That Jim Henson built? No, so it automatically tops it.
Okay, so maybe I just need to quit writing for this blog. I don't know. And then the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm fine with. That's fine. Although I think
it's better than Avengers.
Winter Soldier might have been better than the Avengers.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think the Avengers made it so high because everybody watched it. That was not everybody had saw.
Probably right.
Somebody commented on the blog about asking us about our personal list. I said a lot of it is we do have some age discrepancy as far as who remembers. We got old dudes like me and Jared who have a lot of nostalgia connected to some movies, and then you have like Andrew and Jenna hasn't seen some of the older ones as well. She commented, she was like, it was really tough once I got past the Marvel movies because I'm a little bit younger than you guys. Joe's kind of the same way, even though Joe's an old soul, so he throw it in with me and Jared.
I mean, it kind of makes me mad that the old Punisher or Captain America wasn't on there, or even the
Shut up.
Fantastic Four. I mean, come on, guys.
No, now you're just being crazy, Joe. Now you're just being ridiculous. I can't. If you might have seen the old Captain America movie, he has like rubber ears, which is
unbelievable.
So what Andrew's saying is TMNT should slide up number 2. We should move Avengers to 6 and put in Captain America Winter Soldier at 3.
I was mad Scott Pilgrim didn't make it in top 5. I think that's a top 5 cop movie all day.
Let's not get carried away.
Oh no. Listen. When we do the next list, we'll have if we're still around. We'll do a podcast arguing our lists.
Are we gonna? Yeah, we need to do that. Are we gonna revamp it for Avengers 3? Is that next year?
Well, we got Doctor Strange coming out as well. We've got the Wonder Woman movie coming out.
We need to revamp it for that, but for the end of Phase 3, don't we need to?
I think so. That's what Jared said. That definitely after the next Avengers movie.
Maybe Flash Time Paradox will get in here.
Yeah, I was just about to say we'll have a Justice League movie to ignore by then. So.
Speaking of DC and their movie properties, so apparently Wonder Woman is going to be pushed back. Her movie was supposed to be out. Let me find the date here. Supposed to have been out June 23rd, 2017. It actually got scooted up to June the 2nd, which is exactly what Warner needs to be able to rush more to reach an earlier release date. So apparently there has been some rumors. Zack Snyder kind of said some stuff about wanting to do Man of Steel 2. That is something that, one, either should have been done already, or two, we don't need now, to be 100% honest. Is this DC? DC has tended to panic. They moved Batman vs. Superman away from Captain America. They have rushed the Justice League movie as far as date-wise. Batman vs. Superman, I still contend that it was supposed to be Superman 2, and they just decided to put Bruce Wayne in it and make it a whole other movie to splice in. Do you think DC just needs to be like, you know what, we're just sticking with this. This is what we're going to do. Or is this just, DC is just totally, and it's completely out of control now. Like, they don't even have a schedule. They don't even
have a plan. They don't have a plan. That's the problem.
Yeah, and they've moved stuff around so much. We talk about Marvel and how we have faith in Marvel because this has been the plan: Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. I've said it before. DC now has to rush if they're going to do a Justice League movie. Which, as long as Marvel is still successful, they don't need to rush it because the superhero movie will be around as long as Marvel is pushing out good movies. Andrew, you kind of commented on it. Do you think they need to step back and be like, okay, here's the phases. We're not backing off of this. If something happens and the superhero movies completely flop, fine, we'll get out of it. We don't need to make these other movies. I think Andrew can't hear me.
I heard you. I just didn't know if you. I've talked a lot. I was trying to open the door for somebody else. Yeah, I don't know. I think they need to make a plan and stick with it. If the market gets oversaturated with superhero movies, and if it hasn't at this point, it's hard to imagine how many more we're going to get to before we will get there, I guess, but it'll take a while.
We're talking about DC. They can't make up their minds on their comic book universe.
Well, yeah, that's 100% true. And this has been this. I mean, we've all kind of talked about this. This has been DC's problem since about 2003-ish. They can't get their comic book stuff right, so they have all this messed up continuity. They don't know which character they want to pull in. You don't even need to necessarily follow continuity perfectly. Marvel does it and still makes great movies with your heroes on the big screen, but they keep adjusting it to try to get it even. Their publishing stuff is a mess. They're rebooting it again for the 1,000th time in 10 years or whatever. And it just shows. It's just so odd that we was all worried when Disney bought Marvel. And my local comic book shop owner, Brian Marcus, of Cavalier Comics, a free plug there. He said everybody worried about Disney, but Disney, when they bought Pixar, they just let Pixar be Pixar, and Disney's let Marvel be Marvel. And it seems like Warner Brothers, the executives can't let the creative people make a schedule, make some movies, or maybe they're just wrong creative people. But it always seems Warner Brothers is getting their hands in it, switching schedules, putting more pressure on people to make this a good movie. Jared, do you think it's not just a movie thing, but you think it's a DC-wide kind of Warner Brothers wide thing that they just can't seem to get their stuff in line?
Yeah, if you look at Marvel, you have people who respect what Marvel's done, and they grew up, they helped build Marvel. When you look over at DC, you're run by a bunch of executives. There's a difference there. When those fanboys are putting out their products, it's going to be top of the line. Like when Joss Whedon was doing the Avengers, everybody knew it was going to be great because it was Joss Whedon. Anytime anybody does anything at DC, they're like, I just don't know what this is going to turn out like. So, I think there's part of the problem. And, if I was Marvel, I might would mess with them. They moved the Wonder Woman movie. Here's what I would do. I would just announce that I was putting out another Marvel movie and not tell them what it was, and then put out like a direct-to-DVD comic book, an animated movie, just to mess with them to see what they would do. But
It just seems like they're always in a panic. Like through this whole situation, there's there's always they're in a panic. Do you think they should just calm down and be like, look, as long as Marvel's doing well, we don't need to rush this. Like I know this will make money regardless of whether we release it this year or next year. Do you think they just need to slow down and just get a plan and stick to it?
They do need to do that, but they're not going to because they are executive led. And between WB, who tries to monetize garbage, Arkham, what was the latest Batman game? Arkham Knight. Yeah. Between WB trying to monetize that to all, I don't even have a word for it, to DC being run by executives and not being able to get a plan together in the first place and sticking to it because they're always constantly trying to tweak stuff. They're doomed. Their movies are doomed. I didn't even think about that until Jared started talking about it, but they'll never get it together. I'll go ahead and go on record with that. They will never get it together unless the executives give up power, and executives aren't going to give up power. So let's just go ahead and put it in stone. They will never get it together.
Yeah, who's it? Kevin Feige, who runs the entertainment part of the Marvel Network. There was a time when the comic book side kind of wanted creative over the movie and TV part too, and they had to basically set them down and be like, no, you're in charge of this. You get to go do this. So they kind of gave them free reign to do what Kevin Feige wanted to do, and he loves the product. He helped build it. He's not going to do anything to hurt it. And at Warner Brothers, they didn't help build any of this. You can put out a Batman or a Superman movie, and it's going to make money. Now, some of these other things like Green Lantern, and they could do a good movie if they, would trust people with their product. And I think that's a problem too, is that they may not trust people. Because if you just sit down and look at the script, you could tell if it was going to work or not.
Well, I think that unfortunately, I think they have some people that are very creative. I mean, you look at you talk about Kevin Feige, whatever his last name is. They've got Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns has been involved with the DC Universe for the last 15 years. And that guy tells really great stories. His Flash run was amazing. His stuff on Justice Society of America was amazing. He wrote some of the bigger, like Infinite Crisis and stuff like that was really good. And really, that's when DC was kind of, at least somewhat had a plan. And he's a very intelligent guy. I just don't know if it's almost like that they, unlike Marvel and Disney, well, they bring these guys in and like, well, you've never done a movie before, so we're going to teach you how to do a movie, and this is the way you're going to do it. WB doesn't do that. Like, Disney's just like, hey, you're not broken. I'm not going to fix it because it ain't broke. And it just seems like they have some creative guys over there, but the WB execs are like, you've never made this movie. We're going to make sure this is how it's done. We're going to make sure this is moved up. We're going to make sure this is, I want a dark Superman movie. And I don't know how much Jeff Johns has to say in that. He's the chief creative officer of DC, so he has to have something to say about that. And I just think it's a trust issue. They don't trust their creative people, because if you let Jeff Johns just he could easily do what Kevin Feige's doing. Easily. I mean, he's done it for years, and just like you said, Jared and Andrew and Joe's even said that the execs they don't trust that guy, and I don't know why. Why do you even bring him in if you're not going to let him do his job?
We all agree.
All right.
I think that's it. I think we just all agree. We're just so tired of it. I think the best thing DC has going for it is that, if you were to list America's, not our personal, but America's favorite superheroes, Batman is probably at the top. Mm-hmm. Then Spider-Man. Maybe Iron Man these days because of RDJ. But, Superman is way up there too. And Wonder Woman is, incredibly recognizable. But after that, there's a huge, huge cliff. Cyborg, Green Lantern, those guys. America doesn't know them. And so what you end up with is Green Lantern, who's what? DC's fourth biggest superhero.
Yeah, I'd say I'd throw him in there.
He's on, a level of popularity equal with Ant-Man, I guess. Like, that's about where
I bet at this point Ant-Man's more popular than Green Lantern.
Exactly.
Squirrel Girl.
Because Marvel has done so well with their movies that people went to see Ant-Man, but people will not go see a Green Lantern movie. They'll go see Batman versus Superman because it's Batman and Superman, and we like those characters. But they're not going to go see Green Lantern because it's Green Lantern and it's DC. You know, people went to see Ant-Man because it's Ant-Man, but because it's Marvel.
Because it's Marvel, right?
Yeah. So I think that's their problem. But anyway, I think we've probably driven
True fans would go see a Green Lantern movie if it was done right.
Certainly, but
go read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. His Green Lantern run is amazing, and
I'm not crapping on Green Lantern. I'm crapping on DC and their inability to sell a movie of a character that's not very popular because they're poor movies.
If you look at their TV universe, though, they've done everything right with it. Why can't they transition that to the movies? I mean, you're letting.
Good question.
I can't remember the showrunners' names, but the two guys in charge of DC, Arrow, and Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl. They've done just about everything right. I don't know about Supergirl. I haven't watched it, but Flash and Arrow is extremely well done.
But they've already shown that they'll dip their hand into that.
Yeah, and they've given them like kind of creative control over it, and but they've been like, well, you can't touch these characters. You can't touch Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn, the Joker. You can't touch these, but we'll give you these other characters. Yeah. So they've seen how they're bringing popularity to like King Shark and all this other stuff. I'm like, you let them do some of the, have some input or something. Just put out a little bit of trust, and they'll show you they can do it right.
It's probably that part of the deal was giving over creative, whatever, control. And that's a good question, and it's probably that they just gave up control as part of the TV deal.
Well, the funny thing is, and I'll try to a little bit history lesson, is that if you go back and you read some of the old DC publishing stuff. That's how DC did their comics for so long. You couldn't touch Batman, you couldn't touch Superman, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And creators have always said it was like we had to jump through hoops just to get Batman to swing through the panel, to set up something else or to do a crossover because nobody wanted Batman to be in it, nobody wanted Superman to be in it. It's almost like they're doing that with their movies, and it kind of stinks. For a long time, DC Comics stunk because you couldn't use Batman in the story, or you had to jump through so many hoops to try to set up an easy, a team up with Aquaman or something. And it's almost like that's what they're doing with the movies now. Like he's like, you can't do Batman or you can't do Superman. You've got to go through us first, and it's just ridiculous. And I wish that they would just let the creative people do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Well, at least they do their anime stuff good.
Animation stuff is really good.
I just watched Dark Knight Returns, the animated Batman movies, for the first time on Friday, and both of them were good.
I've got them both. I haven't watched them. I love the book. The book is amazing. But
yeah, it was good. I would recommend it. It was actually on HBO Go, which I didn't know I even had until this week, and I was like, I'll watch that. So,
all right. Last topic, and we'll get out of here. This is more. Andrew's never played this game, and as far as questioning him as a gamer, I question why he hasn't played this, even the old one. And I know it's ugly looking, and I know that it doesn't, these new hipster kids and their graphics that they really like, and the water effects and stuff. And let me tell you this: Final Fantasy VII is one of the greatest games ever made. Maybe a little bit overrated, but one of the greatest games. So when they
not a little bit.
Do what?
Not a little bit overrated. Please continue.
Quiet, buddy. Listen, you want to trash on the Ninja Turtle movie? Like you really want? I mean,
if it's not Call of Duty, it's not a video game.
Hey, I love RPGs more than a lot of people, but
you probably love more RPGs than I do. So RPG guy, you're the guy. But so, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, old school fans like me, Joe and Andrew, or not Andrew, but Jared. We were a little bit worried on how they was going to do some things. Jared, how relieved was you that they said that they, minus the money you're going to have to spend, and to be quite honest, if you're going to do this by Square Enix, you're going to do it big. You got to make some money out of it. So I don't necessarily,
They're making that money up from 15.
Do what?
Said they're trying to make money on what they spend on 15.
That's true. Jared, how relieved was it when it came out that this was going to be, chapters are going to be full kind of experiences, 20, 30 hour kind of RPG experiences, apparently?
I like it. There is a lot to the Final Fantasy VII universe that uh, not that you're restricted with in the game, but like more to explore. I'm sure they'll put out the open world feel to it. Um, like I'm sure like the first episode they'll be in the city and it'll end. Once they get out into the
Out in
real
the other
world.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm kind of looking forward to that because I can hear the songs and it brings back memories of playing and just seeing the what they put out last year at E3. It was visually beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
To me, like I remember the first time I played it and I was hooked. It was just something that was different. I was, sports games and action games. That was the first ever RPG I picked up. So it's kind of something special for us who grew up with it in the late 90s.
Exactly. It's your first RPG. That's why you love it. Not because it's objectively the best. It's because it was your
No,
first, and so it holds a special place in your heart.
no, I still think even after the ones I've played now, I still think it's the best one I've played. And I think a lot of times they get too complicated now. It's pretty
They do
simple.
get quite complicated now.
Yeah, like the magic system and all that stuff. They really simplified it in seven, and have it a way that anybody could play it and pick it up. But you can the way you combine items and stuff like that, you can make stuff more powerful. But it's not going to ruin it if you don't do those things. And there's still enough hidden stuff in there that just make it's hard enough to breed a gold chocobo or to set your plane down on this island at this specific time just to go get Knights of the Round or something
Yep.
like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'll probably play it. I just think it's overrated, so I
Well, I
try
was
to
about to
crap,
say, I was like,
crap on
are
it a
you
little
even going to
bit.
pick this up, Andrew? I mean,
Yeah,
are you gonna come down to our level, our old man nostalgia people, to get this game?
I probably will. I don't know how I'm going to do it though, because there's inevitably going to be a Final Fantasy VII collection that comes out. Do I want to wait and do that? I actually kind of like that it's going to come out in episodes because it makes it more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down to play a 90-hour RPG, and of course this is coming from someone who platinumed Persona 4 Golden, but you sit down to play a 90-hour RPG, and it's just extremely intimidating. I've tried to play The Witcher 3 several times this year since I got off of Destiny finally, and I can't because I know it's so huge. It's just intimidating. So having 3 installments of a 30-hour game makes it more accessible. But at the same time, I'm thinking, are they going to charge me $60 each time? Because that's not cool.
I think it's probably going to be $60 each time. If
Yeah.
it's going to be, I think that's what the point was that they came out and was like, this is going to be a full gaming experience because you better believe they're going to charge $60 for it.
I do believe it, but that doesn't excite me. On a related note, have any of you guys played the Final Fantasy 15 demo yet?
I haven't heard it was pretty amazing though.
Yeah, I downloaded it, but that's all I've done so far because of Rocket League. So
Definitely, I think I'll probably end up playing. That game's
yeah,
got
I
me
will for sure. But
this is a big year for Square Enix
Yep.
as far as what they're releasing. Joe, what do you think about that news? Did it alleviate some stuff? They weren't going to try to do like 5-hour increments like most episodic stuff is now. Are you glad it's going to be more of a fuller experience?
Yeah, I'm glad it's not gonna be like most episodic like portions of games. I'll probably end up buying each episode,
Yeah, me too. I'll probably buy them single. Yeah.
and then if they put out a collection with some special thing, I may buy it just to have it. But
This game is so much. I mean, just like Jared said, I mean, so many people played it and was their first RPG. And I'm not gonna lie to you that nostalgia can cloud your judgment on some games. I played some stuff that I thought, man, this was awesome as a kid, and I go back and play it, and it sucks. But this is one of those games I could play now and still enjoy 100%, just like I did when I was in high school playing it and trying to get everything and looking at the guides and whatnot. I just think it was an amazing achievement then. I still think it's an amazing achievement now. Maybe not graphically, but just gameplay wise. Just like Jared said, it was so easy and so easy to get into, and there wasn't a lot to learn. And I've been talking about the struggles of an RPG, especially now is I've been trying to play the new Xenoblade game on the Wii U. I just can't get into it, and I'm like about 2 hours into it. I know I got to give it more time, but I just, just like Andrew says, hard to sit down to know, this is going to be a huge game, and I feel like almost Final Fantasy VII will be like putting on, a pair of comfortable shoes, and I won't mind to play 90 hours or whatever because of that. I think it's hard for RPGs now because it's hard to connect, and as great as Xenoblade probably is, I don't know if I'll ever finish it because I just can't get into it. And I won't have an issue with the new the Final Fantasy 15, or Final Fantasy 7 or 15 maybe, I don't know. So
there's something to be said for that. I agree with you. That's why I ended up playing Gravity Rush again and Uncharted, the remakes again before I played The Witcher, because The Witcher has new systems to learn, new menus to learn, new all this to learn. When if I really wanted to play another RPG, I could just pick up the MacBook and play Knights of the Old Republic 2
Right.
and enjoy it as much or more, just because it's comfortable. So there's some real commentary to be had there, I would say.
yeah, and I'm not saying those games are bad. I mean, I like the new Tales game I've been playing. I set it aside because it's a little bit simpler to pick up and just play than other RPGs. But even something like, I've played about 14 hours of Final Fantasy VI, and I've set that away because I just can't. There's other things I want to play, and I get to a point where I almost feel like with new RPGs, you almost have to get a notebook to remember everything. Like I feel like I have to write everything down, and I feel like this is something that I'm so excited about because hopefully I won't have to learn too much new stuff. They keep the materia system, the action RPG element I enjoy more than than some of the other things that they've done with RPGs now. So hopefully it's good. I hope it's half as good as the first one at least. So and it'll be good. So. All right, so that'll end the show here.
You didn't want to talk about Rogue One trailer?
Oh yeah, we got to talk about the Rogue One trailer.
Because I actually watched it.
Oh, gotcha. We talked about so much about Marvel and DC, and I kind of lost track there. What do you guys think about the Rogue One trailer? I thought it was really good. I thought it was very intriguing as far as the times, time before the first Star Wars movie. That's something that hasn't really been, at least in the new abbreviated Disney universe, hasn't really been touched on. They had books and stuff before, but it just added more lore that people didn't really understand. It was kind of hard to follow what was canon, what wasn't. I like what they're doing with this movie. I like what they're doing with the whole series so far. Joe, what do you think about Rogue One? Did it get you more excited about the Star Wars stuff coming down the pike, or was there anything that that you picked up that you got excited about?
More Star Wars, the better.
There you go.
So this is fill me in here because I don't actually know when it's set. I just watched the trailer and was like, "Yep, that looks like something I want to watch."
Well, it's set right before the first Star Wars movie, so Episode 4 is when it's set.
Okay.
It doesn't tell you how long ago it's set before.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the premise is that this is how the rebels got the blueprint to the Death Star. So it's a story that you kind of question. How did they know this? What intel did they have? So it's almost like an espionage film for Star Wars. Like it's almost how it's kind of playing it. I think it's a really good take on it.
Yeah.
But I like it. There's kind of slotting this right there and kind of expanding on exactly how they got to where they did in the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked it. I liked the trailer. I don't remember a whole lot about it, unfortunately, but I liked what I saw. I think it's a cool idea. I did not know when it was set, so I was like, "That's the Death Star. Like, why are they still in plans for the Death Star again? We're not doing this a fifth time, are we?" but it looked cool. I think it's going to be fun. I wish there were more aliens. Hopefully there will be, but it looked cool to me.
Jared, what do you think about? We talk about the kind of the espionage view of, at least what I took it as, because obviously this is the main character kind of going undercover. And my wife just told me it's called A New Hope. I always forget the name of it. So
how could you forget that?
Could have helped you out there. I didn't know that's what you were struggling with.
So if people don't know, my wife's a huge Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars, not like as much as like the comic, as far as Spider-Man and Batman and stuff like that. But I bow to her knowledge of Star Wars. Jared, what do you think about the different tone of this movie? It's not necessarily the same tone as even the original trilogy, not even the new movie that just came, Force Awakens. It's a very different Star Wars movie. Did that kind of strike you as and did you like the way that it kind of made a different Star Wars movie?
Yeah, the Star Wars, universe, the main movies, it's about the Jedi. This one, it's not about the Jedi. It's about the people who are putting their life on the line to, the story behind the story, kind of. I was really interested in that. There were some complaints about the way it was shot. That it looked a little cleaner than a lot of people thought it should. But you see the AT-ATs walking out there on the beach or wherever they were at. I thought that was awesome. You get to see the dark shadow or cloaked figure standing up right there. Is that you're going to put Vader in it, or is that going to be the Emperor? There's kind of leaving a little mystery in there to help you to bring your interest in. Seeing the Death Star put together, some of those independent contractors working on that right there. I when they were dropping, it looked like the main weapon right there that they were bringing in. I got excited about it. I was like, man, this looks good. And even the casting, I saw a lot of people comparing the frame. I can't remember what part she played, if she was a general or just the leader in the rebellion, the redheaded lady. They had her side by side with her counterpart in New Hope, and they did a really good job with that. But overall, it's kind of like Captain America: Civil War. It's kind of like a different tone to the same universe. So I'm excited about it.
Shauna reminded me when she watched it, she said there's no lightsaber so far in the trailer. And just to kind of play on Jared's, this isn't necessarily a Jedi, as far as we know, a Jedi story. And I think that's something different because,
Screw that, I want all the lightsabers.
Andrew will be that guy on that forum. Like, it was good.
There's no lightsabers. Yeah, no, but yeah.
Were there any? I don't know if there were any lightsabers in any of the Rogue One games.
That's true. I just want to see dogfights. Like this. I mean, I want to see a massive rebel, Empire dogfight in space, and I think we got a little, not even a little bit of that in the Force Awakens. But we got the scene on the planet where they're flying around, and all that stuff. But this is perfect movie for that to happen. Just a really good dogfight. If it leads up to maybe the explosion of the Death Star or whatever it may be, I think it's that's what I want to see, and that's something that we really hadn't got yet. As far as just a big kind of space opera dogfight, and I think this can lead to that, and I'm really stoked to see that on screen. If it goes,
there aren't even dogs in the Star Wars universe, man. Come on, why are you even referring to it as dogfights?
Isn't Chewie almost a dog?
No.
How about the Ewoks?
It's called Bothan fights, and you just need to get it right, okay?
Listen. I'll call it a dog fight because that's what I do. Okay. Boy, I'm getting railed.
It's okay, Rachel.
Star Wars fans are terrible, just terrible. You bunch of bullies.
Yeah, you need to bring your wife on to talk about
I probably do. I probably do. No joke. I totally agree with you on that. So.
What? Bring her on. She's in there. It's probably a little late for this round.
She won't be on camera. She doesn't want to be on camera.
Well, I mean, we've been on for an hour and a half now anyway.
That's true. We need to wrap up, because we all got to work in the morning. All right, so that's it for episode 9 of the Monsters of Geek podcast. Don't forget to visit us at monstersofgeek.com, where we have our top 20 superhero movie list that we've been discussing, and also some other cool stuff that's coming down the pike. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're under Monsters of Geek blog. Also on Twitter at Monsters of Geek, and please subscribe to us on all of those and YouTube, so you can watch us here and be able to catch up on videos and whatnot that we put up. So, for Andrew, Yeti, and Jared, that's episode 9, and we're out.
Spirit, sports, and sarcasm.